Good evening. This is the Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020 Town of Ossining Planning Board meeting. First item, let's go around the Zoom meeting and introduce ourselves. Sandy, I'm just following the pattern here.
Sandy Anelli, Secretary.
And
Dan Ciarcia, Consulting Engineer of the Planning Board.
Valerie?
Valerie Menastra, Consulting Planner of the Planning Board.
Alan?
Carolyn Stevens, Planning Board Member.
Anna?
Donna Sharrett, Planning Board Member.
Jim?
Tim Basinas, Planning Board Member.
Kathy?
Kathy Zalantis, Planning Board Attorney.
Gareth?
Gareth Huffam, Planning Board Member.
Thanks, and Ching Hua-Chin, I'm the chair. Okay, first item on the agenda is 125 Morningside Drive, new single-family residence architectural reviews. The applicant here?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Mr. Rango, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
What do you have for us?
Okay, we resent the drawings with the comments from the board. You know, one of the comments was from the landscaping plan about the vegetation. We revised the comments and we provide new species into the drawing. If you see into the LP1, we show the new species. I think we bubble it to show what is the things we, think is the best selection for that thing. And also, one other comment was the retaining wall. They want to see like an example. In the page, I think is the, let me check it out. I tell you exactly what it is. On the page PD6, we show one of the photos of how the retaining wall looks like. And other comment was from the engineer about the stormwater retention and the as-built drawing. I think Mr. Circa was in the building department and dig it up into the records of the drawings, and he find out some copies of that ones. And he also mentioned he was in the field to doing like a field inspection about the situation. And I think he produced a memo explaining what is the things, he find it, and looks like everything according with his visual inspection is pretty much okay. No matter what, they need to produce like a drawing from like an as-built thing, but roughly everything is correct according with the things they did in the field. And also we had updated the drawings with the means and bounds, because we getting the drawings to the owner and they provide an incomplete drawing, and we're working with that one. Finally, we're getting the right copy, and we update it with the right means and bounds for the property.
Okay. Dan, do you have any comments at this time?
No, as he mentioned, we did go out there. There is no as-built, but what I saw out there seems to agree with the approved drawings. And also my other comment related to adding the property line where the septic area is, and the site plan has been amended to show that. So I'm, at this point, we're good to go.
Okay. Valerie, do you have any comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the applicant provided all the additional information that I requested, and then I also followed up the day after with the applicant on some of the other board items, and I believe a lot of those have been addressed in the last revision as well.
Okay. Has the applicant had a chance to review your comments, your latest comments? Valerie?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, any comments at this time? Carolyn?
No.
Questions?
No.
Jim?
I'm good.
Anna?
Yes, I had a couple things. Was it ever, I'm not clear that if it was ever explained why there's no windows on the side. I know we brought that up? Is it just not possible?
Well, we try to explore the action because we try to talking with the modular company, because this house is a modular thing.
Mhm.
And I think the owner is in a conversation with them, to add it down, and they change, the budget, because, adding windows change a little bit the aspect of the financial status of that thing. And I think so. We highly suggest to the owner is a good option for them, and they say, okay, let me try see if the company. But the communication was a little bit lack between the owner and the construction modular company. But we're still in the same process, to present, the.
I'm sorry, I thought we agreed on windows.
Yeah, yes. But we try to get in the owner, to be on board of this one, and he's back and forth between him and the modular company. We hardly suggest we want to put in the windows no matter what, because you say is that suggestion from the board, and I think it's a good suggestion, and we try to get in that one. And then in the meeting, we want to put in the windows there.
So that'll, when's
Go
that
ahead.
gonna be? Go ahead.
I can revise the drawings tomorrow and send it to you guys early in the middle of the day or end of the day.
There's no reason why the house shouldn't have windows. There's just no reason. And we're not talking about throwing one on the house. I mean, it just looks odd. And quite frankly, in the building code, there are light and ventilation requirements that are typically a necessity unless you're going to do it mechanically. And there's no reason to do it mechanically on a new house.
No, I don't agree with that one, but I didn't make the calculation for the light and ventilation. But the windows, according with my experience, looks like, are almost done for light and ventilation. Light is not the problem.
No, I don't think we're asking a lot to have a few windows on the house.
No, it's okay. We can add the windows. I know.
Is it basically, Mr. Rango, are you basically saying that the owner hasn't gotten back to you yet?
No,
But he's
the modular company and him, he tried to push the modular company to do the stuff. We suggest to that one, and he don't decide yet, and that's the reason we don't put the windows there. But we want to say to him, if you don't take the decision, we needed to put in there because it's a auction we want to explore. We spoke with him about that one.
Let's just say it's consistent with the neighborhood and the other homes around it that homes have windows. So let's try to take care of that easy one.
Yeah, no problem. I really agree with you.
All right.
Hey, Donna, any other comments?
Yes, so I like the change in plant material to the alpaca, the American holly.
Mhm.
Thank you for finding that special plant. Of course, putting a whole row of holly, which is a great plant, also creates a very hedge-like look, and the property is it's such a natural look, and then there's not really a lot of hedges in the community, in the neighborhood. Especially along the roadway. So, I definitely have a problem with monocultures in general and hedges along houses. It sort of looks like you're creating a fort. So it's not, it's not like a neighborly community kind of look, and that I think is not in keeping with the neighborhood. So I don't know what to say. If there was a way that you could switch it up a little bit and not just have 10 of one tree, and maybe
you said you want to like a mix species, with different.
Yeah, so it looks a little more natural, it's because it's a really beautiful natural setting, and the neighborhood is has a pretty for where we're located in Westchester, in a kind of thickly settled area, it's pretty. It's got a pretty rural feel to it with the trees along the road and all. So I think it would be more aesthetically pleasing if it was, and it would also be wiser. I mean, you know, it's good not to plant all one thing just in case some brand new insect disease comes. It's always best not to.
Okay, no, we can try to combine, you know, two species.
Yeah, just to switch it up a little bit and make it less like a fortress. You know, that would be good.
Sounds good.
And then Dan, if I could just ask you again with I saw that you studied everything. I apologize. I just have a hard time like understanding it. My worry is that like the first time they get that siding power washed with bleach, so the water's going from the house into like a place that's going to be able to handle that before they dump it into the stream.
Well, what you have there, the stormwater pond they created actually has been there for better than 10 years. So you can actually see that it's been taken over by a number of wetlands plants. So before it leaves something that's really artificially created, before it leaves there, I mean, for example, if you're going to talk about chlorine, it would quickly react with anything in that area before it's discharged
for all the
to
houses?
site.
It's for all 3 houses? That area is for all 3 houses?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so I defer to you.
Okay. Yeah, there's a set of I don't think the old house makes it in there.
Okay, so it's just the
But
2.
the original older house that was there, but the 2 new houses flow into it.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I'm getting all kinds of solicitations for people to sanitize the house, like all the siding. I don't know how coronavirus gets on the siding, but apparently it's a concern for people. And yeah, I can only imagine what that would do to the plants. I have declined all those offers. All right. Also, the stone wall. What stone wall? Where's that located that we've been asking them? And I saw the what you presented. Where is that stone wall? Is that
we look it up, that one, you know, around the town is that photo, I think is for you know, my boss.
No, I meant on your property. That's the retaining wall behind the house and in front of the house, right?
Yes. If you see the drawing, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me open it up again.
Me to access that stuff online while I'm on Zoom.
Yeah, hold on.
Because it looks like it's a pretty long, what I remember is a pretty long length, right? In the front of the house and the back of the house?
Yes, it's in the wall. You see the plan EC1, I think is the existing condition when they show what is the proposed from the subdivision. You see the wall in the back and something in the front.
That's a pretty long, I can't see it because I'm on Zoom, so I can't access my.
Okay, let me see if I can share the screen with you. Hold on. Okay, hold on, I try to get in this.
I mean, did anybody else have a question about that? Because that's not really my forte, so Jim or Gareth or Carolyn, Chin.
I mean, it's kind of a necessity, but just on the topography.
Right. Okay. And they're going to backfill that, I guess?
Yeah, because if you see, we try to create like a more flat area but no matter what is, I don't know if you know the side, it's not that steep, you know, it's in the drawing, it looks like the contours are more like, can you see my screen?
It's very small.
Oh,
Am I doing
okay.
something wrong?
I think you need a, maximize the thing. But,
well, no, you've got it, Mr. Rango, you've got it at 5% of size. So you might want to enlarge it on your end.
5%? No, hold on. You see now?
Now you have a 5.27%.
It's strange because I have, hold on, I don't know how I can do that one because, hold on. I have the screen big enough. It's my entire screen is filled up with the information.
On the top menu bar, you see it says 1 of 1, and then you have 5.27%.
Nope. To be honest with you, let me see. On the top
Underneath
of
the
the
help
screen?
button.
What?
Maybe try resharing again.
Okay, hold on. Stop sharing. I'm gonna
Yeah.
share it again. You see it now or no?
There we go.
Yes, very
Okay.
good.
Okay. Now, if you see in the back, you see
Yeah, see
they
where it
have-
is. Yeah. So how
And the-
how high is it?
Remember that we have the conversation about that one? If you see the wall sections we have in the page, hold on, here, you see it?
Yeah, I see where it is.
Okay, now, according with the section we make into the site plan, the maximum thing is here according with, hold on, let me blow it up this one a little bit more. Okay, because the maximum there, oh my
You have to reload it again.
Well, you could just tell me how, or us, how deep it is. I mean, I just don't know how. It's really
I
long
think it's
length. So.
5 feet 8 inches is the maximum can go. 5 feet 6 inches. If you
Gotcha.
see in there, there's the maximum. Is various between the thing, and I think it's going from 2 or 3 feet to 5 feet 6 inches is the maximum can go through the section we make through the site. Site.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, all right. That's
Hey.
it for me.
Gareth, do you have any questions or comments? Gareth?
No, not at this time.
Hey, Kathy, do you have any questions or comments?
No. I mean, I guess at this point, is the board in a position to want to put this towards a public hearing? With the plans, or do you want to see another round of the plans with the windows?
Well, as long as we know that's coming, I'm comfortable setting a date.
Hey, Mr. Arango, how extensive are you going to need time for putting in your windows and your drawings?
Today is Wednesday. I can say Friday we can send the drawing with the windows on.
Okay.
And is that enough time?
So Sandy, when would be the next date?
Well, we set their public hearing for the 17th, the last.
Oh, okay, perfect.
This was just, you know.
Right, I
for
think the
them to-
we were planning the publications are going out tomorrow. Is that correct, Sandy? So I believe at the last meeting, we talked about as long as they had the next round or like this round provided to the board. And then if the board does have concerns, we can postpone the public hearing. But I think if the applicant can provide us the last remaining items by Friday, I think we should be okay.
Okay, so can I have a motion do we need a motion for this, or we already had it?
So
from
it was
last-
already set.
Right. Okay, so we'll just expect Mr. Arango to submit his drawings as soon as possible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Staff?
No questions.
No? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Arango.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
Good
very
night.
much. You too.
The next item on the agenda is 39 Old Albany Post Road, new duplex architectural review. Mr. Fioretto,
I'm here. Good evening, everybody.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you have for us?
Okay, well, we redid site plan again. I tried to cover everything we spoke about, inverts in the drainage, rims and inverts in the pipe, in the pipes and catch basins, in the dry well, the overflow from the dry well going out with the footing drain, more contour lines, including the top of foundation. Cobblestones in front of the driveway. The pavers are stamped concrete in like a brick red herringbone pattern. The light on the house for the parking area with a model number. The sewer connection, the water connection. The question Dan had was the 18-inch RCP on the west side of the property. That was an abandoned pipe from the old original drainage system on Old Post Road. That's plugged. That's capped. Nothing comes out of that. And then the PDFs on the roofing, the siding, the trim. We put shutters on the two ends of the house, I guess the wings of the house. And the trees. So I spent a few hours, I guess this more pertains to Donna, with one of your friends down at Rosedale, and came up with another alternative in the front, the red bud, which is also a nice looking tree. We pick a few alternatives for along the back, which like you just spoke to the last gentleman on, probably mix and match a couple along that back fence line. But they're all on the plan, and the new picture of everything. I'm quite sure we covered everything we discussed, and I think it looks great.
And do you have any questions or comments at this time? Yeah.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to take a look at it. I guess it just came in the other day, but it appears Bruce has addressed pretty much all my comments. I think the only thing, the final set, we're going to need a few details, and I don't see that interfering with the ARB review.
Great. Okay. Valerie, any questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, so similar to Dan, the applicant did provide all the remaining information. I think the one thing that the board, again, it's not going to prohibit this going to public hearing, but the one thing the board's going to want to do is probably finalize the landscaping species, because there were alternatives identified, and just to make sure that everyone's comfortable with what's going to happen, and then have the applicant just revise that. But other than that, they did address the red brick. I saw that on there, and then they provided all of the actual material samples for the board to look at.
Okay. Kathy, any questions or comments at this time?
No.
Okay, let's go around the board. Jim, any questions or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
Gareth?
Yeah. Hi. So I have a couple of questions. I finally got up to 155 Cedar Lane. Can you hear me all right? I'm
Yes.
getting funny feedback.
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
hear you.
Okay. So I got up to 155, and it's a nice looking house. I liked it. I actually found that the brown offset the green nicely, but I know that we already went through that and you got rid of it. But one thing I didn't, so that's probably a done deal, but I did notice that on that house, there was a nice detail on the foundation, which made a difference. And that was, it was about 1 foot high, was stone. It might have been faux stone, I'm not sure, but it looked nice. And I didn't see that on this one. And I think that something like that would help break up the monotony of the green, especially when I saw the actual sample, which is more of like a pea green than the forest green that the renderings show. So I was wondering if you could consider, or if it was already part of your plan, to have a little bit of that foundation show with some stone. That's one question. And the other is a matter, I just wanted to get some clarification. On the rendering, it looks like the upper triangles are in the shingle pattern. And I'm hoping that's the case because I think that would help break it up rather than, the all horizontal vinyl siding. But I just wanted to get your clarification on that.
Yes, the upper gables are the cedar shake patterns, just like the house on Cedar Lane, because it does break up that the look. You don't necessarily jump out at you, but when you look at it, you don't see that straight pattern all the way up.
Great.
As far as the stonework go, again, it's such a big cost item. I mean, that house there, that little bit of stonework across the front was probably in the line of about $35,000. It was huge. And, unfortunately, there's just isn't that kind of money there. And it's, there's no other house with it there. I think I met and exceeded other requirements. And you reach a point where we're just so over budget. It just doesn't make sense. Yes, it's nice, but 40, 50,000 to do that house, or maybe more, that's longer house, that's just doesn't make sense.
I mean,
remember, I already have 300,000 in this from what the town left me with water damage. 300,000. That's why I own this lot, because of water damage from the town road. I think I've paid my dues over and over and over again, and somewhere the buck has to stop. And I think, with all due respect, I think we have a nice product there. I've looked at all the other new houses. I rode around, took pictures, all the other new houses going on in the town. And I'm not one to throw stones. I think we have a nice product there.
So I would take that as a no.
Yes.
What can I do?
Unless you want to make a little donation, then we could do it. I'm
I'm
always open for suggestions.
Be careful, I might.
Okay. Well, maybe a federal grant or something. We could do it.
Right.
The losses, of course, for previous.
That was just a facetious comment.
I can try to play peacemaker a bit. I will say that the site is pretty level. So there's not going to be much of a foundation exposure.
Right.
So it's going to be a very minimal amount of foundation that's going to be seen. Right. And once you landscape, you're going to see even less. So I'm looking to cut Bruce a little slack here.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
So I believe when we put plants in the front and things like that, which will happen, it's going to take away from that. You're right, Garrett, absolutely. The stonework is super nice in that house, but there was really a very big cost involved with it.
Okay. Just asking.
Okay. I thought about it. It's not that it went through without thought, but it just was a little cost prohibitive.
Okay, Carolyn, you have any questions or comments at this time?
No.
Okay. Although I would think that the prices of houses in the suburbs might go up a little bit after the recent events in the city, but that's another issue altogether. Okay, so should we already have it scheduled for the 17th, correct?
I have some
Oh.
comments.
I'm sorry, Don, I thought we had covered you, but go ahead, Don,
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I definitely have some comments. So I have, first of all, I don't think that we've received the final drawings that have the renderings that have where the lights are positioned in the back and where the light is on the side. Do we have any of that? Or did I just overlook it?
It shows the light on the side on the site plan. The light in the front is on the picture.
Yes,
And the lights up in the back are going to be right next to the sliding doors. My architect's computer crashed, and we struggled to get this much done for this meeting. But I can see if he can
But for the next meeting,
Do
we
a,
can
do
see
a
it, right?
rear, do a rear elevation show, but we did change them to carriage lamps next to the doors as.
So
yeah.
did you send a picture of that? It's like, I
It
I
should be
feel
on
like
the
I'm
front,
missing.
It's on the,
picture,
yeah, the rendering.
on the
All
render.
right, so I have one computer and you guys are on it, so I can't see it.
It's
Because
on
none of that stuff was sent to us, so physically, so it's just online. So anyway, so I'll look at it before the public hearing, just to see what that looks like. And
The light for the parking area is almost, you don't see it. It's there, but it's very small. It's against the house, and with the position of the house, it's on like that.
Would you like me to share
left
that? I
middle.
have the rendering up. Would you like
That'd
me
be
to share
great.
it?
Sure,
That'd be great.
great.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, so I did get this and I did not notice that, so I apologize for that. And so that is showing the light on the side?
Yes.
Okay, so that's there. So is that going to be on a timer? I mean, a motion detector or?
That's on a motion. That particular
Okay.
light can be set dusk to dawn or motion detector, and then a length of time. I have that same light in my own house, and I have it on a timer. That you
Yeah,
just,
that I would prefer definitely motion detector, so it's not
Yes.
on all night.
yes, and it
Because
works
this house
extremely.
is seen from the water, right? Is that true? Like this is like in the vista, like
The river is probably close to a mile away from it. The Croton River is way down below it. You don't really see it so much.
Okay.
Hudson River is past Hudson.
lights are amazing. Like you can see them from really far away.
No, it's not facing towards the river. It's facing towards the warehouse.
See
next
the
to it.
illumination. It's a dark sky thing.
Yes.
So now, thank you, Valerie, for putting that up
Okay.
there because this is, I definitely wanted to ask why, but now I think I understand when I see it bigger that's sort of like the white goes across the whole thing. You just don't see it on the one side, on the top, above the top windows. It's kind of strange, does that strike anybody else as strange that the windows go right up to the white, that there's no break with the green? Is that striking anybody else? I think it looks, usually you have the windows and then you have a little space in that top part, right? So
I mean, it's a detail I've seen before.
you have, okay.
Yeah.
So as an artist, it just is like jarring. They look little, like they're just kind of dropping out of that white space. So, but it's not a deal breaker if it doesn't bother anyone else.
Well, on the other side, it would appear if you change the angle of the view, the overhang from the roof on that side would probably make it look like a solid white line across anyway.
Correct.
So you don't
Okay.
have that distinction.
Okay. All right. So the shingles, so for our final vote, are we going to see like a sample of the shingles also in addition to the siding? Are they painted or is that a bought product?
You're talking about the shingles in the gables, in the front
Yes.
gables? That's
Yes.
actually a vinyl shingle, the same as what's on the house.
Oh, so it's the same
Cedar Lane.
product, basically.
Same
just a
product,
different-
yes.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Same color on Cedar Lane. We made that detail brown, which Gareth was referring to.
Mhm.
And on this, we just did it the green. It's actually the same color, but it looks a little different because of I guess the facets of the cedar shaped look.
Right. That's okay. So the cobblestone and the brick path, are those going to be put on the site plan?
Yes, they're on there.
They're on the site plan. Okay.
Yes, they are, yeah.
All right. Because my experience doesn't get on there. Doesn't matter.
And I put on there either for the front sidewalk, either the herringbone type pavers or a stamped concrete product in that same color.
Okay. So now on to the landscaping. Thanks for looking into all of that. I definitely have some concerns because did you tell Rosedale, I guess you said you went, did you tell them that you told me it was like really sandy soil and like
I told them exactly what we had there.
yeah, because Redbud's a forest. So, you know, the problem is a lot of times with landscaping plans, people look at it almost like annuals, like they're gonna, you know, they're disposable, in 10 years you'll plant something else. And it'd be really great to have trees that are gonna last maybe longer than the house, you know? So I was thinking about Garrett's comments about, you know, how this is like the first house, you know, the entrance of Crotonville. And, you know, I was imagining that, like, wouldn't it be great to have like some big, you know, beautiful like oak tree, you know, with a little stone wall, like Gareth was saying. I mean, it would be so spectacular. But of course, you can't have the oak tree because of the utility lines. You know,
And there's only 30 feet. There's only 30 feet from the curb to the house because the curb is the actual property line. Most houses are, the property line is about 10 feet behind the curb, give or take. 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. In this case, the curb line is actually the property line. So the front yard is fairly small. And when you put a big tree on, it looks like a telephone pole when it gets big. You don't see the beauty of it.
So I looked on Google, the Google Earth, and it's a, I think that's what it's called. And you can see like what the whole property looks like. Of course, it showed, you know, it was taken a while ago. So there was the old house there. And then there's a big tree on that property. It doesn't look like it's in good shape. That one you're taking down, right? That big one?
Actually, Con Ed took the big trees down. They were
Oh,
dead.
lucky for you. That would have
They
been
looked
really
green because
expensive.
they had vines all over them, but they were actually dead.
Okay, yeah, because that looked problematic. I wouldn't want a dangerous tree like that over a new house. Yeah, so
Now, these trees grow typically 30 feet high, 40 feet high.
I have two of them. So
Yeah, they're great.
I know, but they need a lot of water, so I'm not really sure how that's going to succeed.
Well, I have crabapple in my backyard, and my backyard where I live here is all sand, and there is no water either. That thing is healthy as can be. It's great. Looks good year round, and
Yeah, but the red bud's not a crabapple.
well, then the red bud is different. But everybody, including Rosedale, had suggested that dogwood, and you were vehemently attacking the dogwood. So I said, let's get rid of the dogwood and we'll go. And red bud was another one I had on my original list, but I just listened, and that's what he came up with.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's hard for me because this is what I do. So for me to like approve a project that I know that the plants are going to fail, it's very difficult for me. And I can, you know, if no one else has problems with that, I mean, I'm only one member of the board, but I got to tell you, it's hard. It's hard for me.
I don't believe it's going to fail. I don't believe
it's really hard.
We're going to make sure there's plenty of topsoil. Since I have thousands of yards of topsoil in my yard, I will make sure, if nothing else, the material under it will be correct.
Okay. All right. So that's, I think that's, then you say there's two maple trees remaining?
There's two
on there?
red maples on the left side of that property that are nice. They're not too big, and big enough. They're probably 40 feet, give or take, and pretty full of branches, in good shape.
All right. What is the stuff that's growing there now, like along the road? It's like there's like shrubs or something. What is, you know what that is? That's all coming out, right?
That's coming out, yeah.
Right. So my concern is
some of them may stay on the right side, I guess the north end of it, but some of it for work we have to do is
yeah, I don't even know if that's worth keeping. I don't know what it is, but I, you know, I keep thinking about Gareth's comment, like, and I know you're making it clear that you don't want to do the stones, and I understand your perspective, but you know, visualizing it, it's going to be like a lawn right up to that, which is, it's, you know, it's not as.
What's wrong with a nice, beautiful lawn? It's not going to be that wide. By the time you come out with the porch and the sidewalk, it's probably more like 20 feet to the street.
You're talking to the wrong person.
Why? Then you put a garden across the front of the house, and
it's
not that big a lawn area, really.
My other question for you is, you know, so we're doing, you're giving us all the information for the trees and all, but have you provided us information as to what you're planting right by the house? All the plants by the foundation plantings, they would call it? Have you provided that?
We're just gonna make a little garden with small little trees. I mean, I don't know. Usually I go with all the houses I've done, and this will be my 20th one as a hobby in the last 25 years. And I usually, when we go to plant, I go to because I enjoy doing it, I go to the to the nursery and I fill my truck up with things they suggest. I draw the area we're going to do and they say, put this, and this, and that's what we put. And
Unfortunately, a lot of the nurseries, as I said, they look at landscape materials as disposable products. So I would like to know I think most site plans specify what are the planting materials are around, that are all the planting materials. So I think that would be, it is going to change the look. I mean, so I think it would be good to know what in my opinion, it would be good to know what you were going to plant. So,
Donna, do you have any specific suggestions for those plants?
I'm not going to give you suggestions because I would not want to be held responsible for them failing, and I don't have no guarantees on how they're going to be cared for. I'm betting that Mr. Ferrier, I don't know how to say your last name, Ferrito. Ferrito. I'm betting you're going to want to do a good job, and you're going to do a good job, and I'm not challenging that in any way, but I'm not going to make any comments without me knowing what the soil is and what the conditions are. I would be setting myself up for like finger pointing later. So, but all the other plans that you get, I mean, people do say what they're planting around the house, ones I've all seen. And then I just wanted to comment about the new houses that you're seeing when you're going around. The ARB is it's a pretty new group that was instituted in the town. So a lot of those houses that you're looking at and comparing probably didn't have this kind of review. So just to put it in perspective. So that's
don't
it.
throw stones, but
I'm just
I
saying.
reserve the comment.
So,
Hey, Gareth, you were going to say something? Gareth?
I was just going to interject on Donna's comments about the foundation planting. I also noticed that on the site plan, they were shown, those plants were shown non-specifically, just as like a couple different kinds of circles. And I was thinking that since the house is going to be a light green in color, that the color of the foundation planting will make a big difference. If it's all just sort of, monotonic green, it'll just blend in with the house. And I'm wondering if specifying could help with not only making plants that will survive better, but also just, look better from a color contrast point of view. I don't know what to suggest. I mean, this is outside of my wheelhouse, but I'm thinking like a deep holly or something, which would be a darker contrast against the lighter pea green. I don't know, Donna, what do you think about that kind of thing?
again, I don't, like when I make plant choices, it's like based on pH, soil texture, available water, available light. I don't, like you're looking at a site plan with little round circles on it. That's just not the way to, it's impossible for me. So, sorry.
So what are you suggesting be done then? That he go back?
I suggest, yeah, that like well, even what Bruce wants to put down there, like just say what he wants to put down, and so we have an idea of what he's going for. It's like you've done other houses, so you probably have an idea of the choices that you want to make. So.
And the applicant supply that information on the next submission.
Sure. I'll get a list of some plants we can throw in there, and
Some nice colored rhododendrons or something, which are a little deeper green. I don't know, but yeah, okay. I support that.
Any other comments from the board or the staff or questions?
Well, I just think that maybe, I understand the concern about the planting plan. Maybe have Bruce just identify a few more plants. But I do think that overall, the biggest concern, I mean, this is clearly Board of Architecture supposed to be for the overall consistency within a neighborhood or inconsistency. So I do think that to some extent we'll smaller plant choices as opposed to, I understand the concern for like the larger trees and some, maybe if you can, Bruce, identify a few of the species you'll put in the back and maybe make some notes of like a few things in the front.
Valerie, you're fading in and out.
Sorry.
Okay, the plants in the back we have on the thing with a few alternatives, because I thought we would maybe mix them in across that fence in the back. And because Donna thought it was monotonous to keep the same plant, so that's why I put a couple alternatives. We can kind of mix and match across the back to try to hide that fence. If you want a few choices, I'll get a few choices to put in the front garden. And I mean, they're just all little shrubby things. Maybe I get a couple of plants with a couple of different colors in them, but I'll talk to the nursery about that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? No? Okay, so we can be set for the 17th for this, assuming the applicant submits updated information on the plantings?
Yes.
Yes, they're
Great.
scheduled for the 17th,
Okay,
public hearing.
all right, then I guess it's good night to you. We'll hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice
Okay.
night.
Hi, Bruce.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh, I just wanted to mention to Donna, again, I was following the pattern on the Zoom and I didn't realize the Zoom sometimes shifts. So I jumped over Donna without realizing it afterwards. So yes, if I skip over you folks, just remind me that I somehow missed calling on you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is Sunrise Solar Solutions at Club Fit Briarcliff at 584 North State Road. I see that the applicants are here.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
So, Dawn, I'll let you jump in on this.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Dawn McKenzie from Insight Engineering, Surveying and Landscape Architecture. We're here for the Sunrise Solar Club Fit project on North State Road. Just wanted to give you, we'll just do a quick update of what we did for the submission. So basically, we addressed the consultant comments. We have evaluated the trees to be removed and added a tree legend to the plan. We've calculated for the number of required tree replacement trees, and we have added a plant list and updated the plantings on the landscape plan, the proposed plantings on the landscape plan. In addition to that, we have changed the entrance gate into the utility area to a double gate as opposed to a single gate. It has not gotten wider. It has just changed from a single to a double. The other thing we have done is we needed a little bit more clearance. I'm pointing to the plan on the shared screen in this area, and we just opened the wall up a little bit to make it 6 feet clear at this pinch point right here, and adjusted the grades to work with that. It has not increased the height of the wall. We just tweaked it a little bit. And let's see, I think that's what we've done, clarified. Oh, there was a comment about identifying the inlet protection. So we labeled that on the plan. And one thing Doug can probably weigh in on is we don't, we're going to take out the inlet protection on this side per the comment from the engineer. You're right, we don't need it there. The silt fence will provide enough protection for that during construction. And let's see, we added a note that the bollard may be removed temporarily during construction, but will be replaced when we're done. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that covers it.
Yeah, and just, this is Doug Hertz from Sunrise Solar, just to address an earlier comment. So we have been working or trying to work with the self-storage facility next door. As you probably know, it changed hands in the last, whatever, year or two. And both we and Club Fit have had really no success in getting anything substantive with them. So we have more or less tried to make sure that our plan could be executed entirely on site, so we wouldn't have to, venture onto their property, because as of now, we have not been able to obtain permission to do that. So we've worked with our tree companies. They can remove the trees via crane successfully, and all of the landscape work, hardscape and softscape, can be done much more manually than we had hoped, but by accessing, basically, from Club Fit's property. Obviously, if we do manage to obtain an agreement with them, we would make some changes at a certain point and put in a stabilized construction entrance, and that would be temporary. But as of now, we're not planning to do that because we don't have permission. So that's that at this point.
Hey, Dan, do you have any kind of questions or comments at this time?
Well, the one question was addressed regarding the off-site catch basin protection, but along the lines of what Doug was just talking about, access for building it obviously be a lot easier from the self-storage site, but it's sort of apparent that this whole strip along the property line is basically an area sort of ignored by both site plans. So I think there's an opportunity here, if they can get the cooperation of the self-storage people, to just regrade that area. Because it really isn't a knoll. I wouldn't call it, it looks like a knoll, but it really appears to be sort of a no man's land that nobody ever really graded properly. So if all the trees are coming out, it sort of makes sense to just level that area off, which I think would be better for the health of the trees. Plus, the retaining wall could be significantly reduced in scope. So I understand the applicant's dilemma without the neighbors' cooperation, but should they be able to get that cooperation, I would like to in some way memorialize having them just regrade that to get something that I think in the end would look more appropriate over there.
And quite frankly, we'd love to do it. It would be cheaper for us. Not to have to build or to lower the retaining wall that'd be there. More than happy to do it if we have permission.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking. I think it basically, I think it would be the right job. It's just a question of whether you'll have the cooperation of the neighbor.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Valerie, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, I had just a couple. Starting off with the tree permit comments. So as this board knows, this required an EAC referral. The EAC has been referred this application, and I believe they're meeting tomorrow evening to discuss the application. The trees themselves, they are proposing to remove 17 trees and proposing to replace with 13 trees. They have provided additional information showing that they do conform with the tree permit law. And then they also provided some additional information as to the conditions of the trees. They believe it is the applicant's opinion that most of them fall within the provisions that does not technically exempt them from a tree permit, which is the removal of any tree that has been found dead, dying, insect infested, or otherwise hazardous. The town has sent out their tree expert to the site, I believe, about a day or so ago. So we're waiting on their report as well as to whether they concur with the applicant's position. Then, in addition, the solar permit comments, there were a number of items we asked the applicant to note as of last month, and they did note all of those on their site plan, and they do conform with the requirements of the solar permit provisions. And then lastly, the one thing that there still is remaining is the actual maintenance, photovoltaic maintenance and property upkeep plan, which they anticipate submitting soon. And the last site plan comment I had is dealing with the access on the side of the building. I think there was a little bit of concern, and it was also raised by the building inspector as to just making sure that there's clear walkway or some access on that site plan. I do see there is some gates, but it's a little unclear on how they'll get to the AC units as well.
Okay, I can answer that question. Just let me find my comment page. So this area right here, there's an existing path to get in from the parking lot that leading up to the gate. And it's a gravel area. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, if you can just maybe make I didn't see it on the site plan. If you can maybe make a note of it, and then also the access onto the, the AC units, just making sure that there's an appropriate width to be able to, have access around those units as well.
Okay.
And just a note, those right now we're relocating those AC units across from their current position to free up space for the solar
right
here. What we're trying to get a determination, and we've because of COVID, it's been quite difficult to get vendors out to some of these sites. But we're trying to get a determination is if we can locate or relocate those AC units down adjacent to, Dawn, if you can sort of point out to the east, there are some more AC units that are existing there under that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's basically a limitation to how far we can push condensate material, through hoses, basically. If we can relocate those condensers adjacent to the existing ones in the rear, we will do so. We had thought that we were probably limited to how far we can run the condensate lines, but we're trying to get a determination from the building's AC contractor as to whether that's going to be possible or not. So we may try to relocate those if it's possible, but we're concerned about the length of that throw.
Okay. Thank you. And the last
and that would eliminate the concerns about being able to maintain those, because I mean, quite frankly, they're maintainable. The height of the retaining wall at that point is only about 1.5 feet. That's a fairly low grade. We're just trying to relocate them as close as possible. But I understand.
Thank you. And then the last thing, just for the board information, we did also send out the referral to the Briarcliff Fire Department for their review of this particular application as well.
Do we have an anticipation of when they might respond?
At this point, we don't, but I can work with Sandy to try to follow up with them as well on that.
Kathy, do you have any other questions or comments?
Just to reiterate what Dan said, or what he alluded to, that anything off-site on another property, there has to be formal agreements with respect to that.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Start with you, Donna.
Thank you. So on the last point that you made, I just have if you could just walk me through, if let's say it does happen that you move those air conditioner units, does that mean that I would assume that means that you're going to have to put a walkway back there, right? So the same kind of 6-foot space that you're going to need. That'll have to go all the way back?
Yeah, no, there's already a walk, kind of an informal walkway. It's dirt right now. The requirement for maintaining the battery units is a much higher level. We really have to be able to, they need 6 feet of airspace in front of them, and it's basically it's a Tesla requirement. Where, but the AC units, there's a hollow next to the building, sort of a de facto walkway that's dirt. So we would just locate them right next to where the other ones are.
So you wouldn't be doing any pathway or anything there?
No,
Okay,
we wouldn't.
good. Okay, because I was concerned about the roots of the trees that are not going to be removed. So that answers that. Thank you.
Yeah, and ideally we can put down, we don't even have to pour a pad. We could use a pre-made pad in that area, ideally.
So again, that would bring me back to the problem with the roots of those trees. So would it be something that would be pervious?
I think those pads are typically impervious. They're
Those are old trees there, so they got. I imagine there's roots all over the place. So, because those are the trees that you're not taking out. So, any impact you start doing to them, then they're going to deteriorate to the level that the ones that you're taking out are at now. So that would be my concern.
Well, back there, the berm is about 4 to 5 feet higher. There's a very, very significant difference in what's going on there. So right adjacent to the building, I don't know what the root ball would look like, but certainly understand your concern.
Yeah, the roots are usually twice as wide as the height of the tree. So in that case, I'm guessing that they're trying to find as much space as possible in that little bit of area. So they're probably there. So it's just something to think about, because it would be preferable to put something pervious if there was an option, if that becomes a situation that you're going to entertain. That would be good to consider. So my other question is where you're proposing to plant. How wide is that there? That the final area for planting, how wide will that be? Like, it looks like if it's 6 foot for the other.
It's probably about 4 feet wide.
Right.
Above, between the wall and the fence.
Right. So it just brings me back to what I was saying last time. It's like, it just seems, first of all, they're beautiful plantings that you chose. They're really, really nice. And except the arborvitae is deer food, so I don't know that deer get back there, but all of those plants are really lovely and appropriate for shade, and it's a really good choice. But if they're crammed into the space, it just seems like it would be, I don't know that it's not, you're putting up there's a fence there, right, between you and the storage unit?
Correct.
So those beautiful trees would be really lovely, by North State Road and on your property by North State Road and elsewhere. So that would be my comment, is that, other than the ones right in the front, which would be providing a little bit of screening, from the parking lot to the project. I'm talking about the ones that are like right next to the air conditioning units and, shoved in that little space, where there's the walkway. In my opinion, and they'd be like a real asset to have where you can actually see them. And then, of course, my other comment, which I made the last time, is that it'd be really great if, even if you don't need mitigation, if Club Fit could take care of the wooded area, because now, we're losing big trees, and I understand that you're saying they're not in good shape, and I get that, and they're also tall and possibly dangerous, but they do provide a service, and for me, it provides a service of, there's many things, oxygen and all that stuff, but also it mitigates the noise that we hear from a gun club. So if you could preserve the area that's wooded, 10 years from now, if the vines are allowed to continue the way they are, then we're going to be hearing the gun club from the loss of all those trees, you know. So it would be great if the applicant would consider that as a compensation for even though they're bad trees, you know, based on what you're saying here, they do provide a service. So I would appreciate if the wooded area of natural occurring plants could be cared for, you know, as much as the rest of the property is.
So are you referring to the southeast corner?
Yes. So between North State Road, along where that the garbage company is, that whole area, and then it goes all the way to the back. It's all wooded. And it's got vines and, you know, barberry and, you know, all kinds of crap in there. But in there also is beautiful oak trees and, you know, beautiful things. So it's
so as a concrete recommendation, your recommendation is to remove the plantings between the fence line and the retaining wall that we're showing, keep them in where they're visible in front,
right,
and do some remediation work on other parts
on the wooded
of the site.
part. Yeah.
Could you liaison with the EAC to make that recommendation? Because I'm just a little concerned that we're going to get one set of thoughts here, a different set of thoughts there, and then we're going to have to reconcile.
Right.
So,
well, I am the liaison to the AC, so that works out really well.
Donna, let's I want Kathy and I to take a look at the provisions, because they might have to provide the trees based on the tree preservation law.
I'm not saying for them not to provide the trees. I'm just saying for them not to have them there. There's other spots like along North State Road where they could plant them. I just
I think there was a little, the way I heard Doug's interpretation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Doug, you're still anticipating putting the trees on the site, correct?
Well, I'm anticipating doing a commensurate amount of work, whether it's planting or some other, you know, again, I don't know what discretion the board has and the code allows for the kinds of work that Donna's referring to. But if she, you know, if it sounded like her recommendation was trimming and maintenance and removal of invasives and vines and things like that.
Which should be something that a property owner would do anyway. I mean, I'm kind of baffled, like when you have particularly these properties that have very well maintained planting areas, and then you have a natural area that's just letting go to waste. So I don't really, understand that. So.
Yeah, so Donna, I really can't speak to that and the larger picture of the property's maintenance procedures and all that. But we certainly have the ability to make the recommendations to the property owner and to their maintenance staff. And I'm just trying to get a handle on something that's concrete that we can present to them as a, and if we're going to be doing plantings along North State, it's going to have to, blend in with what their vision is for that space in terms of visibility. They're, and I don't know what, if they're going to feel like if we're putting things that are going to grow tall, would that provide issues with visibility on the site or any of those things? So we can certainly have those conversations, but I'd love to get a consensus from both your board and the EAC as to what everyone wants before we,
Sure.
But
Okay.
we're happy to do this or move this to another place on site. There's nothing, we're not wedded to the screening here where we're trying to comply with and make everyone happy.
Right, and I'm not talking about the ones that are towards the front, which would serve a purpose of screening the project. I totally get that. So
understood.
The ones that are really shoved in that by the air conditioner there, like that, those ones. So,
If I could
Right.
pipe in for a second, I would just say that I would support what Donna is suggesting. Behind the facility is the Botanical River, and the older, larger trees provide really important shading for the fish in the stream. And if the vines can be removed, it's good for the stream and the fish. So if we can find a way to modify the requirements of the tree law, I would support it.
I think you're talking about two different areas on the site. Donna, you're talking about the front of the site along the south end along North State Road. And Gareth, I think you're talking about the east side of the site behind the tennis enclosure, correct?
That's correct. Oh,
Right.
is that a different spot than you were talking about, Donna?
I'm actually talking about the entire wooded area. Just as a matter of principle, and I do believe that we have on the books that that you have to maintain your property. So I think that there's another way to go about this, and but to let all the trees die, then you'll have exactly what you have right now on that side, which is dead trees because they weren't taken care of. So you will have that on the rest of that property. So that's my point. And I would, there's not much, looking at this plan, it didn't seem like there is much property beyond the tennis bubble, if I understand that correctly.
Let me share, if I can share my screen, how do we release you, Dawn, from sharing?
I can stop sharing.
Okay. I'm going to share, all right. Tell me when everyone can see this.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So this is Google Earth.
Right.
And it has a fairly good, so if we're going to go in north-south configuration here, so south is now to the top. But I think this is the area, most of this area is right-of-way.
Yes.
So this is not the property owners, it's, part of the highway. So there's a very narrow strip right here that belongs to Club Fit. There's a section obviously up in front.
Right, so it's that whole area.
And then there's this section back in the corner here.
Yes.
That I thought, Donna, you were referring to most.
The whole kind of C shape there, starting from North State and then, going back, that whole area there. It would be a tremendous loss to have those trees be strangled.
The bulk of this is on, I think it's Suburban Karting's property, almost all of it. But we can look at how narrow, if there is something that's the clubs there. But I think we have the biggest opportunity to work in the front and work in this space.
Yes, that'd be great. That'd be really great if they would consider that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So, Donna, if you could coordinate with Dawn, and I don't know, we haven't gotten anything regarding the EAC for tomorrow night. So I don't know if we're expected to present or what the.
I don't think so. What I did was I sent them the recording of your presentation, the link to your recording of the presentation, because that was, I thought, very complete. And I don't know that they've reviewed it yet, but I can discuss it with them tomorrow, and and I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. So you don't need input. Because Dawn is our
well, I can't speak for them. I haven't spoken to them about it. I just sent them the link and told them about your presentation. So.
Okay. Because if you'd like Dawn to be able to, discuss and, possibly come up with, hear their feedback directly, so that she can design appropriately, I think that would be helpful. Certainly for us, rather than.
So I will send an email to the chairperson. I can do that, tonight or first thing in the morning, and she can contact Sandy, and if they want you to come, I just can't, I'm the liaison, I'm a planning board person, so I can't really make that decision for them.
Yeah, and Dawn, I don't know if you're available. I know I have another meeting that I need to be presenting at tomorrow night. I don't know if
I can make myself available if they're willing to let me.
Okay, thanks.
join.
So
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. So I think what we wanted to try to do is, obviously we were hoping to get feedback from the EAC and move this along. I think assuming we get feedback that's appropriate and that your board agrees with, and we make whatever changes on the plan based on that. I think the next step for us, I know we have to have a public hearing on this. So we'd love to.
Carolyn, do you have any questions or comments at this time yourself? Carolyn? You're muted.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. Sorry. The dog was barking before, so I muted it. No, I have no questions at this time.
Okay, Jim?
Comfortable.
Gareth, do you have anything more to say? Ask?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. So yeah, Mr. Hertz, I assume you want to be on the schedule as soon as possible.
That would be great.
What do we have to do at this point? Valerie?
So
Kathy?
typically, Kathy, do you want to go ahead?
No, it's fine. We'd have to set a public hearing date.
And typically we can't do it 2 weeks after this meeting because of the publication notices.
Right.
So the soonest would be July 1st.
So it wouldn't be the 17th if you want to.
Right.
Yeah, and the applicant probably needs time to go and digest all the materials anyway that are going to be coming back from the committees and the fire department, et cetera. So July, what day, July?
July
Andy?
1st.
July 1st, okay. Do we need to put it on now, or can we tentatively wait for the next meeting and then put it on?
If we wait to the 17th, we'll be in the same predicament that we won't have enough time to do the notices. So I would set the public hearing at this meeting for July 1st, if you're comfortable with that.
I'm fine with that. Applicant, are you okay with that?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, can I have a motion to that effect?
So
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Carolyn makes a motion, Jim seconds?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Donna, any objections?
No objections.
Gareth, any objection?
No.
Did I miss anybody? Okay, great. Okay, so thank you, applicant, for that. We'll hear from you soon, and you'll hear from us, hopefully.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night now.
Okay, I believe we have 2 minutes to go through. Have everybody had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Any comments or questions about them?
I just had a comment on the last ones on the 20th, because so it's the things I just talked about with Sunrise Solar. It's not in there, but I did express concern about the lack of light where they were proposing the plantings, and I requested that they would cut the vines and remove the invasive plants in the wooded area of their property as a possible mitigation measure. I think I said last time. So.
Anybody object to that being inserted into the minutes, the draft? Any other suggested revisions? Carolyn? Okay, you're muted. Okay.
No. No.
No, okay, Jim?
I'm good.
Gareth?
Yep, they're good.
Okay, so I'm sorry, did we did I put this up for a motion already? Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the 6th?
I'll so move.
Any second? Gareth seconds?
I'll second.
Okay, any changes we want to make on the minutes for the 6th, May 6th?
Mm-mm.
Carolyn?
Yeah.
Jim?
Nope.
Donna?
No.
Gareth?
Nope.
Okay, so I accept them as well. So the May 6th minutes are accepted. Could I have a motion to accept the May 20th minutes?
So move.
Carolyn moves. Second?
Second.
Jim seconds. Any other than what Donna has already pointed out and what I've already pointed out in terms of you making sure that the correct resolution is in place. Any other revisions to the minutes for May 20th? No? Okay. So can, Donna, do you accept the minutes?
Yes.
As amended? Jim,
Yes,
do you
as
accept the
amended.
minutes as amended?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Gareth?
Yes.
Great, I accept them as well as amended. Any other items on the agenda?
Nope.
Okay. So, if there's no other items on the agenda, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move. So move.
Any second?
Second.
Jim seconds. Okay, any objections? Donna?
No.
Jim?
Nope.
Carolyn?
Yeah.
Gareth?
Nope. No objection.
Great, okay, so a motion, it's adopted, no objections, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for their time tonight as well. I hope nobody's gonna get wet since we're all home. Take care, be safe.
Bye.
Right.
Hey,
Night.
good night.